And Jason Kersey, an Oklahoma beat writer for the Oklahoman. Jason, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Shed some light, if you can, on what these two guys are like, and what's their relationship like? How well did they feed off each other at Oklahoma?
Well, when they were at Oklahoma together, those were successful offenses in college football history. I mean, and they ran an offense very similar to what Chip Kelly likes to run. So, when I found out that Sam Bradford was going to Philadelphia, I thought that was a great fit for him because, he won the Heisman Trophy in that offense. And DeMarco Murray was phenomenal that year as well in 2008 when Oklahoma scored all kinds of points, set all kinds of records. So yeah, I mean, those two guys are and like you said, they're close friends. They were teammates. It sort of makes sense on a lot of levels that maybe they could make this work in the NFL.
There's a lot of people around here that maybe aren't sold that Sam Bradford is believed to be the guy in Philadelphia, even though that's what Chip Kelly's saying. There's all the love affair with Marcus Mariota, but sell me on Sam Bradford. I mean, I know he hasn't been healthy in the NFL. He was healthy in college. And what kind of a quarterback is he like when he's healthy, and what kind of things could he do, as you said, in this offense?
Well, I mean, his first year in St. Louis was pretty successful. He was Rookie of the Year. He was the number one overall pick. He's a very talented guy. He's got a big arm. I think that the health has been the biggest issue with him, and that would be the thing that if I was an Eagles fan, I'd be the most concerned about. Is this guy going to be able to stay healthy? But if he can stay healthy, I think he could be really good. Like I said, he really fits that offense well that Chip Kelly likes to run, and he's very comfortable in it. So to me, if he is indeed the guy, like Chip Kelly said he is, I think that they could be really good next year.
DeMarco Murray obviously put up some big numbers last year with Dallas, the leading rusher. And a lot of people want to say, especially Cowboys fans, that was a product of their offensive line. Tell me on why it wasn't. What does DeMarco Murray bring that he can do here in Philadelphia?
Well, he's a really tough runner, but he's also got some pretty good speed. The Dallas offensive line was really, really good last year, and that obviously made a big difference. But DeMarco had shown flashes of that before, and he was finally able to stay healthy. I think health was was also an issue with him before, but and that probably has to do with the offensive line, helping him out there as well last season. But yeah, I think that he's a really good running back. He was the best running back in the league last year, and I think him and Sam together, if they can both stay healthy, really make that Eagles team dangerous next year. But speaking of the offensive line, there's another former Oklahoma guy, Lane Johnson, up there as well. So it's kind of becoming a team full of former Sooners.
So if you go to a college that begins with the letter O, Philadelphia is your place. Oregon, Oklahoma.
That's right.
When you talk about DeMarco Murray, there's Ryan Matthews here now, Darren Sproles. It kind of seems like a crowded backfield. Now, he said yesterday in his press conference in Philadelphia that, he wants to be on the field, of course, but he's not selfish. Chip Kelly, in his 2+ years, we realize, is trying to build a culture in the locker room of productive and not selfish guys. How unselfish is DeMarco Murray from what you remember at college and what you've seen so far in the NFL?
Well, just speaking purely from his time at Oklahoma, he wasn't unselfish then. He shared carries with another running back named Chris Brown throughout most of his career. In fact, the last I think it was in 2010 or maybe. I know in 2008 and maybe in 2010, both of them had 1,000 yards rushing. DeMarco was always the main guy. He was always the top running back, but Chris Brown got a lot of carries too and a lot of yards. So he, at least when he was in college, he was very comfortable splitting carries with people and didn't seem to mind it. And I think that stuff helped keep him healthy through college too. So I can't imagine, obviously he's an NFL running back. He's going to want his numbers, and particularly after the season he had last year. But just based on his history, I think that he probably could appreciate having some very good and capable number 2 and number 3 guys.
Let's go back to Sam Bradford for a little bit, and we're talking to Oklahoma beat writer Jason Kersey. He works for the Oklahoman, and we thank you very much for taking some time here to talk about DeMarco Murray and Sam Bradford, two of the newest Eagles. In terms of Bradford, Jason, how much do you think he needed a fresh start, a new look and a new offense that you said he fits very well? How much do you think he needed this change of scenery?
Well, I don't know Sam very well personally. I wasn't on the OU beat when he was at OU, but from the little bit I do know about him, and from talking to a lot of people who know him better, I think he needed it really bad. I think it was a really good time for him to go somewhere else and start over. He had the really nice rookie season in St. Louis, and then after that, things just didn't go well for him. He couldn't stay healthy, and also that franchise just hasn't been very good. And I think that now that he gets to go to a really good franchise, a really well-run franchise with a coach that's going to run the offense that he really can run and run well, I think that this is probably exactly what he needed.
He did not have. They were starting to build some weapons around him finally in St. Louis, but it didn't seem like he had really the best weapons or perhaps even the best protection at times, which led to the injuries.
Yeah.
What's your read on how he'll fit with the weapons that are here? The Eagles still need to get another receiver, obviously, but the running backs and the backfield looks good. It looks like it should complement him pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think him and DeMarco being back together is going to be really good for Sam, especially. DeMarco obviously was doing just fine without Sam, but I think the two of them together will be really good. And yeah, maybe if they can get another quality receiver in there, they could really be dangerous next year. I don't, with the Cowboys losing DeMarco Murray and not getting Adrian, I guess they're not going to get Adrian Peterson. I can't imagine that the Eagles won't be the favorite in that division next year.
There's a lot of talk about Chip Kelly and his sports science. You use the qualifier that everybody around here keeps using, is staying healthy. If they can stay healthy. DeMarco Murray was beat up pretty good last year, but he played all 16 games despite a broken hand, I think it was at one point. Sam Bradford has his injuries, his torn ACLs. Jeremy Maclin here came back from 2 torn ACLs. Chip seems to ignore the injury side of things. How do you think those two guys, particularly Bradford, will bounce back from his most recent injury?
Well, I think that he'll bounce. I think he could bounce back well. I mean, his last season at Oklahoma was ended in injury. He came off the Heisman Trophy season. OU was in the national championship game. Sam's second to last year at Oklahoma, they lost to Tim Tebow in Florida in the title game, and then the next year he came back. I think against some advice. I think people thought he should have gone then, but he came back and busted up his shoulder in the season opener and wasn't able to play most of the season. But he bounced back well enough to be the number 1 overall pick and the rookie of the year the next year. So I do think he's capable of bouncing back from injuries. The problem is he's had so many of them in the NFL and has had trouble staying healthy. So I don't know how much that affects a guy's psyche, but the guy's certainly tough enough.
He seems like he's pretty mentally tough. Obviously, he's got to get out there and stay on the field. What's the reaction like back there? I mean, obviously OU's produced a lot of high quality talent in the league. What's the reaction like today after Murray and Bradford have been reunited back there in Oklahoma?
I think people are really excited around here. I think the Eagles probably picked up a lot of new fans in the state. This is a very, very, very much a Cowboy state. There's no doubt about that. Just because of the proximity, because of Barry Switzer. There's a lot of reasons why people in Oklahoma are Cowboys fans, but I imagine there'll be a lot of people pulling for the Eagles on Sundays next season.
Biggest caution that you may have for DeMarco Murray did he take too much of the load in Dallas, and do we need to be afraid that he could start declining?
Well, I mean, they always say that when a running back hits 30, right, that's in the NFL, that's when they start to decline, and he's a couple of years away from that. So, he did take a beating last year. They really, really loaded him up, and So, I think that's obviously something to be concerned about. And I don't remember right off the top of my head. Did they get? How long is his contract? Was it 5 years?
5 years, yes. 5 years, $42 million.
I wonder where he'll be going into about the fourth year of that contract, frankly.
Yeah, and Chip has shown he's not afraid of cutting guys either. So I don't know that he'll be here through all 5 years. But all right, give me. We need a receiver. Oklahoma got anybody good coming in the draft here?
Let's see. Dorial Green-Beckham is Oklahoma's receiver that'll be in the draft. He didn't even play at Oklahoma last year. I'm sure you know all about him. He's at Missouri for 2 years. Got kicked off the team for a bunch of off-the-field incidents, and then came to Oklahoma, tried to get eligible, wasn't able to last year. OU really could have used him last year because they did not have very many good receivers. But he's declared for the NFL draft without ever playing it down at OU. So he'll be in the draft. It's weird to think of him as a former OU player. I'm not even sure that it's fair to say that. He was a former OU scout team player. But he, everybody talks about his talent. He's a first round top 10 level talent. But there are very serious off the field issues you have to worry about with him. Not to mention the last thing, the final straw at Missouri for him was an incident in which he was accused of shoving a woman downstairs. And I know right now in the NFL, violence against women is sort of the last baggage anybody wants to bring in. So I think he's going to have to overcome a lot of that stuff. But, if he gets with the right team and the right people and the right leaders, he could really be a star in the NFL. And DeMarco Murray and Sam Bradford are pretty, sound like pretty solid citizens, and guys that stay out of trouble. So maybe that would work out.
All right, Jason Kersey, I'm going to let you get going. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Warmup. He's a beat writer at Oklahoma. He works for the Oklahoman. Obviously had a lot to say there. A lot of good stuff about Sam Bradford and DeMarco Murray. Thank you very much, Jason.
Hey, thank you guys. Anytime.
All right.